It's time once again for another thrilling episode of Markout Radio. For the next hour, sit back, pull the stick out of your ass, and enjoy. Be warned though, smarks and internet know-it-alls will be offended, annoyed, and generally pissed off at what's about to happen to your ear holes. You've been warned. Now, Markout Radio.
That's right. Welcome back to Markout Radio Goes Nitro, episode 32 for April 22nd, 1996, out of the Albany Civic Center in Albany, Georgia. Commentators as usual, Eric Bischoff, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Steve Mongo McMichael with his moron dog. Welcome live to TNT, the only live wrestling this Monday night live on TNT. All titles on the line in the main event live. I mean, technically, it goes to anyone who gets a pinfall over anybody else will get their title. Heenan, what do you think? Well, the cops are here for Macho, so I'm not going to put it over. Even Mongo wouldn't put over the main event. But did you hear? We're live. Live unlike the World Whining Federation, who isn't live, but we're live, so there you go. We're not at war yet, though. Still remember, according to Bischoff's Books and Podcast, we're not at war yet. He's going to also save us some time, though, this week. And he's going to give us the pre-recorded results from Raw right now, live on TNT. The impersonator, transvestite Goldust. Is Dusty still commentating for WCW? Yeah, he is, isn't he? Anyways, he defeats Savio Vega to retain the Intercontinental title. Yawn. Mankind defeats Aldo Montoya. Bigger yawn. Vader defeats Fatu. Oh, boy. But we're not at war. But we're live, so anything can happen here on Nitro. This week, again, we have no idea how many people are there or how many people actually paid to be there. The venue itself holds 6,500 to 7,500 people, depending on layouts, and up to a max of 10,240. Now, WCW keeps booking these larger arenas and then using half of it. This is something that WWE would later adopt and continue to use. It's very smart. The entrance ramp looks huge, giving a large and impressive intro for every match. The ring, ringside area, and seating are then easier to make look jam-packed together, and it makes it look like there's a massive crowd, even though in this case there's probably closer to about 5,000. I mean, even with the large gaps between the floor seating and the bowls, you could tell that this place is packed to the rafters, meaning they've basically half filled it. So it's actually a smart way of doing things, and like I said, Raw would continue to do things like this all the time. Ratings, though, continue to suffer. Nitro lost to Raw, 2.7 and 3.3. And we'll continue to do so for quite some time. It sucks. It really does. I'm not rooting for WCW to lose. I'm curious as to when the 83 weeks is going to start. Jesus. Anyways, first match of the night is the No, don't do that. No, because I had to have another fight with YouTube this week. Don't do that. Well, the podcast audience doesn't care. They'll queue it up themselves if they want to listen to the whole thing. Turn it down at least so I can talk over it. All right, the American Whales defeat Public Enemy by disqualification in 7 minutes, 23 seconds. I gave it 2 out of 5. It's all right. Overall, it's a decent match. These post-match hardcore spots just aren't getting over. They're not getting over with the fans. They're not getting over with the announcers. They're not even really getting over with anybody. But Turner wouldn't green light hardcore matches. So this was the only way that Public Enemy, who are a hardcore wrestling team, are going to be able to get over their style, because neither of them can actually wrestle. They're like the Nasty Boys, except worse. They're gimmicks, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Wrestling's full of gimmicks, but they're not really going to get over if you can't let them have some hardcore stuff going on. So they've had a somewhat quasi-regular wrestling match, and then it ends with this thing. Now, as the match starts, Bischoff tells us that Bagwell has just starred in a movie that we're going to talk about later. There's no fucking way we're talking about that later. We're going to talk about that right now. Day of the Warrior is an Andy Sedaris film starring Marcus Alexander Bagwell as the Warrior. just like every other skin flick that Sedaris was involved in during his illustrious career, take a shitty script that he himself wrote, let Bischoff give him some of Ted Turner's money, and then let him cast all the shittiest actresses with the biggest fake tits possible, and then cast a wrestler who can barely act like a wrestler as your main antagonist. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Basically, it's a soft porn action flick full of Playboy models with garbage editing and bag while rocking a racially insensitive Indian gimmick in all of his scenes. The link to the trailer is in the show description for all of you, whether you're watching this on YouTube or picking this up on whatever podcasting app you're using. That being said, what the fuck? Let's watch it together, shall we? Because it is golden. Skyhawk Films.
Day of the Warrior, an Andy Sedaris film.
It's got a thin lead red line treatment. Day of the Warrior. So he's got to put himself over in the fucking trailer. And Andy Sedaris, oh God, here we go. It can only get better from here.
Undercover agents of the Lethal Force have a high priority mission.
Undercover agents. Oh my. Oh yeah, by the way, I've paused it. I know you guys can't see this, but obviously if you're watching along and you're pausing this when I'm when I'm talking, I have literally paused on the antagonist's Asian sidekick who has big bushy eyebrows and a long Fu Manchu, and when we hear his voice later in the trailer, it's gold.
To stop the Warrior.
Our contact man in Washington has succeeded in breaking into.
He's succeeded in breaking into. Hold on. We gotta hold on. That's just. I gotta see what's on the computer
agents
screen.
Of the Lethal Force have a high priority mission to stop the Warrior.
To stop the Warrior.
Our contact man in Washington has succeeded in breaking.
Okay, lethal. In case you were wondering, lethal stands for the Legion to ensure total harmony and law. Oh God. But yeah, no, they're all Playboy models, and the dudes are all, I don't know, porn stars / softcore porn actors.
Into
Whatever.
the Lethal Force computer system.
Red alert.
This guy Warrior, who the hell is he anyhow?
He's the mastermind behind $1 billion black market network.
A network to do what? A network? A network to do what? By the way, I have paused it on this chick's fake tits. I apologize. I didn't mean to do that, but I am here. This is what's happening. All right. What is he? It's 1996. What is $1 billion industry in 1996?
Has anything to do with him? He'll kill them all. Oh!
Okay, so this is when we get into the parts that are really poorly dubbed. So you have to watch this trailer to just really appreciate how awesome it is. First of all, Homeboy's jump, dive, roll thing, the audio doesn't match up with it. And then some sheriff's deputy gets a blow dart in the neck, kayfabe style, by the way. He's holding the dart with his hand. And in the trailer, you can see him take the dart with his hand like that's away from his neck and put it up to let's take a look at some chick's thong ass for a little bit too. I mean, I'm not complaining, I'm just saying.
Gonna get killed.
Got to think positive.
Yeah,
Positive we're gonna get killed.
he's positive we're gonna get killed. I think that's an Asian accent, or at least an attempt at one, but
The ladies
there
of the
comes
Lethal
the
Force are
softcore porn
undercover
stuff.
and at the top of their form.
This is better than I expected.
By the way, there's nudity in the trailer. Who was gonna? Were you gonna put this in a movie theater? Who the fuck makes a trailer with nudity in it?
Load all your guns. Look for excitement.
Look for excitement. We go from a Ferrari to a Cessna airplane to a shitty fucking powerboat that some schlub accountant owns with one dude driving and 4 chicks that you can tell they've got fake breasts from this distance because the boat on the water is bouncing and they ain't.
And leave your inhibitions behind.
There's the first boob shot, and another boob shot, and another boob shot.
Props.
There we go. Oh, here's some more dart scenes. Oh, even a blow-up doll.
The lethal force is armed and ready for the day of the warrior.
Come on, Foo!
The bad guy that's Asian, his name is Fu. Yeah, Fu, come on. That's the second time we've seen Bagwell and look directly at the camera.
Day of the warrior. An Andy Sedaris film.
Okay, hold on. Okay, this is great. I don't want to interrupt this part. All right, so it's an Andy Sedaris film, Day of the Warrior. Here we go.
Film starring Pithouse Pets, Julie Strain, Julie K. Smith, Playboy centerfold Shay Marks, American Gladiators Ray Zap Holland, and WCW wrestling sensation Marcus Bagwell as the Warrior.
Well, I think we can all agree with that. Marcus Bagwell is a sensation in WCW. I mean, obviously. Woo, goodness. Now listen, with a trailer that good, you knew that there had to be a sequel, right? Well, there was. There was a sequel to that called Lethal Ladies. Return to Savage Beach, where he reprised his iconic role as the Warrior in 1998. Now listen, in 2014, he was on an episode of Gigolos, and I remember this being a thing because Markout Radio was on the air at More Like Radio for a while there, and one of our sister shows had Bagwell on their show and had arranged for us to get him, and I turned it down. There's a reason why, though. I mean, okay, so I saw the episode that he was in, and this reality show, Gigolos, it featured 5 male escorts that he allegedly worked for one of them. Now, it's unclear if this was true or a work, but he was on their company's website. Women that he was alleged to have been hired by, though, have never confirmed that they actually did use him. Most of the women who were actually seen on the show also never confirmed that their interactions with the Gigolos were real. The production company itself went bankrupt in 2015, and the show itself went off the air shortly thereafter. The only thing that be confirmed as accurate is that the company, Cowboys for Angels, did actually exist. He was actually advertised as an escort on their website, and he continues to be one of their old, meaning retired, I guess, escorts. And the website continues to exist, and it currently advertises escorts in every major city across the U.S. I'm not sure who'd admit to hiring a escort, but in shoot interviews, Bagwell has both confirmed and denied that he worked as a gigolo. Now, for me, this smells a lot like a work. Usually when wrestlers confirm and then deny and confirm and deny, it usually means that it's full of shit, or at least the business wasn't really run well, because Bagwell has and does continue to work steady indie dates and wrestling conventions. So is it a work or not? I don't know. Email mlrmarkout at gmail.com or shoot a comment below on one of the podcasts or the YouTube channel. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think it's a work or a shoot, because I seriously think it's a work. Don't get me wrong. A good looking dude. Buff the stuff. But is he a gigolo? I don't know. Anyways, back to the match, where the ring babes are back and better than ever. One of them is making googly eyes at Bagwell. Bischoff passes WCW's Besta Pillman, who ran his Hummer into a tree this last week and got hurt, and then released from ECW. Now listen, it might have been the 90s, but Heyman has always been Heyman. Next week, Nitro will be on early leading into the NBA playoffs. Again, Bischoff was ordered not to program against the NBA, as we all remember, but the NBA legitimately had a contract to televise some of their championship matches on TNT. Bischoff promotes Lord of the Ring, which is basically a battle royal for an actual ring and a shot at the world champion in June. Mongo flubbed all over himself. Luckily, Heenan was there to cover for him, but then Bischoff had to go and fuck it all up by claiming that the Public Enemy are an enemy sandwich. In the Pep Boys replay, we get a slow-mo of Grunge and Rocco Rock throwing Riggs over the top rope and go ahead and get their team DQ'd, setting up the post-match schmoz through a heavily worked table gimmick. Riggs got actually hurt here, as both guys of Public Enemy effectively landed on his right arm. Now, when he was later asked about this, again, actually, this one was on our show. We interviewed Scotty Rigs one time. He said that he heard something pop and felt a cool rushing sensation. Normally that means that you've torn a tendon, but luckily when he went to go have it looked at by medical professionals, it was just a minor soft tissue damage issue thing, and he basically had to wrap it up and take a couple weeks off, so no harm done there-ish. I don't know. Skin was broken because when Bagwell went to his side to check him out, he did pull blood away from his elbow, so... but according to Scotty, it was just soft tissue damage. So there you go. After this, we get a commercial break with WCW Meg promo. Afterwards, Gene Ramp promo with the Ringside Babes Emily and Charity. That's right. The blonde's name on this is Charity. We're live doing some Lethal Lottery drawings for Slamboree. Now, again, Slamboree's tagline was Lethal Lottery. However, this gimmick was the battle, what the hell was it called? Some stupid fucking battle bulge thing? I don't know. I think we get to it later on in the show, but it was really poorly named. It would have been better if they just called it the Lethal Lottery and called it a day. Essentially, the gimmick here was to create tag team matches at random, even though some teams like Fire and Ice, Scott Norton and Ice Train, did end up together miraculously. Now, Gene and the Babes draw some blank cards out of Slamboree logoed envelopes that just happened through the miracle of live television and the wrestling gods to put Flair and Savage in a team together against Anderson and Guerrero, who just happens to be in the next match. Crazy how that works out, isn't it? Speaking of, next match, Chris Benoit defeats Eddie Guerrero in 7 minutes, 30 seconds. That one I gave 4 out of 5. Now, it's not just because Benoit is back and because Benoit and Guerrero tend to put on good matches. This is actually not the best match they've ever put on. There was a bit of legit heat. Actually, if you go and watch the season premiere of Dark Side of the Ring, I believe it's like a 2-episode thing about Chris Benoit. Half of that is, I shouldn't say half of that, but there's a large chunk of that about Guerrero's passing. And you know, Vicky talks about how the guys didn't actually get along at first. And in this match, after seeing that, you kind of go, oh, this must have been a time in their careers when they didn't like each other very much. And it wasn't because there were stiff shots. It was because there was so much no-selling going on. But anyways, this is Benoit's return to live television in the United States. Now, all of the WCW commentators on all of the shows for weeks and weeks have been saying that he was hurt and recovering. Until Bischoff goes ahead and ruins it here. He announces that Otani will be part of the Lord of the Ring match, as well as Benoit, who just lost to Otani in Japan and seems to be taking it out on Guerrero. So Benoit wasn't actually injured, so much as sent away because he was getting a little too friendly with one of the Booker's wives. Being sent away isn't that big of a deal, and covering for it with a gimmicked injury is also not a big deal, especially in the wrestling world. But then when your boss goes ahead and admits things live on TNT, well, I mean, it is Bischoff. He doesn't actually like wrestling, even though he has no career outside of it. Between his shitty fake biker reality show and the energy drinks that destroyed people's livers, wrestling is really the only thing that he has that has ever made money. So you would think, even back then, keeping his own kayfabe, at least within his own goddamn company, would be a priority, but I guess not. We get a commercial break during this match. Following that, we get the go home for the match. It's pretty good, actually. Listen, the fact of the matter is the match itself only got 3 out of 5, if I'm brutally honest. That extra point that I'm giving this match was for Johnny on the spot cameraman and the ref being in the perfect place at the perfect time to count the cheating win, with actually the best replay I've ever seen in WCW. After this, you get a Gene Rant promo with the vice president of WCW, or a vice president of WCW, it's unclear, Rob Garner. Actually, he's the director of syndication and advertising, but a VP of WCW sounds a little more kayfabe. There will be some ramifications for Macho if he keeps going off the handle like this. Garner is a stupid little person, according to Savage. And as far as Savage promos go, this is pretty much par for the course. After this, we get a commercial break. WCW Saturday Night is the #1 wrestling show on the weekend. And in case you were wondering, no, it wasn't. And no, it never will be. Jim Duggan, after this, defeats Ming in 6 minutes flat. I gave that one 2.5 out of 5. Ming rocking the kimono down to the ring. Gotta love Americans. Let's book Duggan versus a foreigner and then put the foreigner in a foreign robe. Jesus Christ. We're live, but we're going to go ahead and take a commercial break, and then when we come back from commercial break, we'll remind you that we're live again as a USA chant breaks out among the audience, which I'm pretty sure is what they were going for. Again, though, we're not at war yet. But during this match, Bischoff is going to remind us that Goldust is a transvestite RuPaul imitation and is the Intercontinental Champion over at the World Wrestling Federation. I mean, he claims that it's a great concept, just like WCW's concept tonight in the main event is a great concept. But Bischoff's going to explain how his is superior. Thankfully, this time Heenan does put it over a bit before Bischoff actually starts talking about the match and then makes subtle transition of talking about Hogan not being at Nitro and running wild around the world. Even though this match was a TED Talk and racial slurs and wrestling nonsense with a foreigner having a rock hard head, it was actually pretty decent right up until the point where Duggan, the Irishman, taped his fist up and punched the foreigner in the head with a taped fist, knocking him out. I'm not quite sure how that's not a foreign object, but whatever. He pins Ming for the 1, 2, 3. Ming gets up, shaking his head in bewilderment. We're supposed to get a Gene rant promo with the Ring Hotties again. The Dancing Fools, Alex Wright and Disco Inferno, will team against Earl Robert Eaton and Dirty Dick Slater. I don't know about you, but I popped when Gene said Dirty Dick and then paused before saying Slater. Listen, no one ever said I was mature, all right? Speaking of mature, Gene solicits a compliment from the Hotties, who are gifted actresses who laugh as soon as they admit they're going to go out with him after the show. Anyways, we get more random draws as Regal and the Belfast Bruiser are teamed up, shocking, to take on VK Wall Street and Duggan. By the way, Gene has extra money tonight just in case something comes up short. I'm not sure if that's a small penis joke, but the brunette seems intrigued. After this, we get a commercial break. Coming back from break, we get the main event. Now, here's the problem. I'm going to try to explain this a little more coherently than it was explained all night long. And I know I'm going to come up short, but it should be entertaining nonetheless. The WCW World Heavyweight title, the WCW World Television title, the WCW World Tag Team titles are all on the line. Whoever gets a pinfall against somebody else will win said title. So, if Flair pins Sting, Flair and Giant are now the tag team champions. If Flair pins Luger, then Flair's not only the world champion, but he's also the television champion. If anybody pins the Giant, they get fuck all. But if Sting or Luger are the ones to get the pin over Flair, then either Sting or Luger, depending on who gets the pin, win the World Heavyweight title. As you think, I know, passive-aggressive fans, it's fine, I understand. Just calm down for a sec. If you think this through, you know it's going to be a schmoz before the match even starts. Obviously you know it's going to be a work and a schmoz. Even in 1996, you had to know this was going to be a bullshit ending. Even so, I was looking for the bullshit ending just so that I would have something to be entertained by. Now, Sting and Luger win via disqualification at the 7-minute, 25-second mark. Here's the thing. I'm giving the match 3 out of 5. Now, I know, it seems like a high score given the fucking shenanigans and tomfoolery going on here. I understand. But just pump the brakes a little bit. Let's go over the match, shall we? Bischoff reminds us at the start of the match, as the wrestlers are coming out, that the C in WCW does not stand for championship. It stands for commitment. And we are committed to being live. Until next week. Woman doesn't actually show off an awful lot of cleavage, but with Benoit back, why not? She's wearing a cleaverific dress. Flair starts making eyes at Deborah McMichael at ringside again. This time, Mongo claims that if he keeps doing it, he'll have him to answer to. I'm sure he's terrified. Savage clears the ring, getting past all of those actual fucking cops who have been standing along the entrance ramp all night long. Barney Fife, anyone? Flair flexes for Deborah again after Macho Man is escorted out. In the match itself, there were a couple of bright spots. Giant getting his clothesline spot over the top rope thanks to Sting and Luger was a high spot. Followed immediately by a low spot as Sting and Flair tried to recreate it on the other side of the ring, except that it took a couple of tries to make it happen, and when Flair landed it, well, it's bad when a 7-foot-tall greenhorn can make that look legitimately good, and your 20-year, 30-year veteran can't. Anyways. Match ends with a coffee spot yet again. This time, Flair gets the coffee and blasts Giant in the face with it. Who, by the way, to his credit, sells the holy shit out of it because he grinds his palms into his eyes to make them even more, to make them red. Because, let's be honest, it wasn't actually hot coffee. I know, right? Spoilers. Jesus, fuck. Anyways, Flair comes back out after beelining it into the back with a towel to wipe down the Giant as Gene gets into the ring for the post-match interview just a little too soon. After Flair scarpers, that's right, I'm bringing it back, Gene does an in-ring promo with the Giant and Hart. That coffee burned apparently down in his soul, and so next Monday, Giant wants a shot at the title. Flair, in the commentating area, threatens to kick Giant's big ass before running away again. Now, back at the commentating position, Bischoff apologizes for Flair's saucy language as Heenan crawls out from under the desk in a actually pretty hilarious spot. The match next week is a good to go, though. Flair versus Giant for the title. I don't know. This week's Nitro was at best a 3 out of 5.
Well, that was an abortion of a show. Should the mood take you, check out markoutradio.com and leave a comment. You can also find links there to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Stitcher channels. You can even leave a voicemail on our Skype. Just click the links and share them.